delicious whiskey.
Hey folks, how are you doing tonight? Welcome to the Generational Gap. I'm Robert, your resident Gen Xer. I'm way over there. We've got John, our resident millennial.
This guy.
And John, there's something going on between us.
Yes.
Something's come
Yes.
between us. Tell me about it.
We have a special guest tonight. Tonight, for your listening endowment, we have the tinfoil hattiest man I know. The Eddie Bravo to my Joe Rogan. The J to my Silent Bob. The one, the only, the holy wrench of fascism. MijitB is here. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm humbled by your introduction. I'm touched.
Well,
place, like you said, I would be.
That's right.
That's touching in that
Little bit.
special place. I am. I'm like that great big wiener between, your two buns.
It's true.
Here I am,
Wow.
stuck in the middle.
I was just going to say welcome to the show, and I'm so glad to have you here. But now I'm reconsidering every aspect of this. So.
Yes, it is great to have you between us, where you belong.
I'm glad I could be a part of that.
Michael Vega in the chat with the hot dog emoji. Gotta love it. Thank you very much,
we
sir.
got the Cameron Michael as well. Oh, retracting his message.
Is that right?
Wait, there's a Cameron Michael?
Well, isn't he busy
Nothing showed in my
doing dice rolling stuff?
Surely. I don't know. I know he was at poker a while ago. He was in Vegas, which is pretty awesome for him.
Liquor in the front, poker in the rear?
Yeah.
Love it.
Speaking of liquor.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Alcoholics.
I apologize in advance to my friend Michael Vega in the chat that I am totally blind to this evening's proceedings.
Oh, no.
I can't read chat, so you'll have to hit me up with that. John, you'll have to keep me apprised.
That's right, Michael Vega. The mods are asleep. You can post ponies all you want.
That's right, you certainly can. I'm not there to swing my wrench.
The holy wrench of fascism.
John, we can put you in charge of copy pasting the comments into the Discord, our Discord, and he could read the chat there.
Yeah, I could do that. If it's something worth saying, I'll just say it out loud. I'll interrupt you. It's all right.
All right. So, John, how's your weekend been? Anything exciting, wonderful happen? Does anybody care?
Just hanging out with your slack ass. That was about it.
Yeah. MijitB, you had a decent weekend? Everything good, copacetic there? You haven't been taken away by the lizard overlords, right?
No, I managed to avoid their lizardly stares. And,
is that anything like the male gaze, or is that different?
It's close. It's
very
not
close.
Something you want to get caught in, that's for sure.
I
tell you, I've avoided their lizard brain, plans. They're pretty easy to, see through. All you got to do is, put on the right glasses and the right tinfoil hat, and you can see everything for what it is. It's rather simple.
Right. Hey, real quick, I'm going to throw something out there because I was kind of excited about this. And, John, you know how I feel about the Supreme Court. I don't agree with the way it's set up these days. I don't necessarily agree with the level of power they have. But when I see them stand up... When I see them stand up for the Constitution and uphold the Constitution, primarily as it affects free speech, I'm very excited by a ruling that does that. Say what?
I think he said preach. Yeah.
So apparently it was 1999, I think it was 1999 or 1990. A fellow started himself a company. It was a clothing company, and the name of the clothing company is Friends You Can't Trust, or FUCT.
Nice.
And it was a clothing line that was supposed to question authority and the assumptions of society. The name is supposed to be pronounced FUCT. But we, of course, immediately when you see FUCT, you can assume what we're saying, right? Right? We want to take that impression right away, that assumption.
Well, that's the human mind, is to see the pattern and say it out internally.
Correct.
It's natural.
So in 2011, his name is Eric Brunetti. He went to have the his brand trademarked, and come to find out that there's an obscure bit in the trademark law that basically says that you can't have anything that is scandalous,
vulgar,
or vulgar. So he decided he was going to fight this, right? So it finally gets to the Supreme Court level, and 6 out of 9 justices agreed that assumptions that people make cannot be used to infringe upon free speech and this trademark, and that he has every right to go ahead with this trademark. So assumption does not allow for legislation against free speech. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That is a blow.
Let's have a round of applause for Supreme Court.
Right? Let's hear it.
Hear, hear.
Free speech.
And even the 3 that declined a positive vote, they did a balance. They gave balanced decisions for and against, why they were against it as well. But one did leave it open, pointed out that Congress could still step in and legislate that aspect of it, and successfully get a law in place that kind of defines it a little more and rules against something like that. But for now, the free, they've pretty much said no. That little bit of trademark law does not have to apply. So I'm very proud of that.
Was it the dissenting judges who reasoned that maybe just a little more legislation might get them the result?
No, actually, Alito is the one that did it, and he was one of the assenting. He because of course they write out how they feel, they make it a whole thing, right? And he said,
which judge though? You cut out just as
it was Justice Alito. Here's what he said. He voted for it. He was one of the 6, and he said, our decision does not prevent Congress from adopting a more carefully focused statute that precludes the registration of marks containing vulgar terms that play no real part in the expression of ideas. So, but that was still a concurring opinion. He said, and he did concede that it serves only to further coarsen our popular culture when we see these trademarks. But the justices are not legislators and cannot substitute a new statute for the one now in force. So he did address.
Thank God for that.
He did address that there is, things like this coarsen our popular culture, and it does, right? Do you remember the brand name FKNY?
Yes.
That's been around for a while. The very first thing I think when I see that is fuck New York.
I mean, I agree generally. Fuck New York anyway. Bunch of assholes.
Well, how about also, screw that. You don't have to do that. It's, free speech.
Right.
Right. Understand. But, and
it's your problem, not mine.
Sure.
Right.
And again, Alito concurred with that. He said that's fine. He said just understand.
He said indeed we could tighten these.
No, he didn't say we could.
If we really wanted to.
No.
Nudge, nudge. Like,
no, and that's not what he's just saying. He basically said we're not the deciding vote on this, but for right now, since we're being asked to decide on it, we can. But what happens in Congress is what the White House lets go by. Ultimately, it would be in the president's hand to veto something like that. Be smart enough to veto that and stand up for the Constitution. And hopefully our Congress and Senate wouldn't want to go against the Constitution that viciously.
Where might you find somebody willing to do that?
Like I said, I used a dirty word. I said hopefully.
We didn't have another 6 years with somebody similar, if not fully committed. I'll agree. Maybe not fully committed, but someone similar who you might be able to, utilize in such a manner as to, I don't know, decentralize these sorts of things and make speech free again.
Don't be ridiculous.
Going out on a limb here. This is ridiculous. You're right, absolutely.
I
And I
believe
mean, God forbid, whoever comes after him. I mean, should the pendulum swing, to the left once again, like, oh my God, who knows what could happen? So, I mean, who do you even see replacing this guy as it is? Say 6 years from now, who replaces him? Who could? Who would? And what would that mean for the rest of us? Jesus.
Yeah. Hopefully someone will come along in 6 years. Maybe you.
Woo! Ride
Maybe
this
you.
train, man. Honk honk. Here we come.
That's right.
You better stock up on ammo. I'm gonna get these bonuses, dude. I'm gonna raise the rent around here. Get these bonuses, man. That's what I'm gonna do.
Hell yeah.
Got me a little castle up in here.
Hey, I see Wyatt hanging out in the chat over there.
Yes,
and
yes,
by the way, Michael
Nice.
Vega, since I don't have a big wrench in there, is my mic coming out screwy, and is the feed chopping up again? Just give us a little insight. We don't have our regular midget manning the.
I mean, you sound good to me.
The cynicism guns. I've dropped them, lads. You must carry them on.
That's right. Well, now,
right.
now you're
Fire
here to
the guns of cynicism
live.
directly at your enemy. Yeah.
So midget, are there overlords out there that are coming to get us all?
I wonder sometimes. I mean, not fully committed to that, but when you think of things, the most powerful and most wealthy people in the world are few, and they're most certainly equipped with radars that keep one another, under close observation. So, I mean, there's certainly also a motivation to, maintain, as it were, a overarching or non-governmental, federalized sort of global control over. I mean, and let's turn it around again. These people also have this is their money that they're legislating our lives with and about. So they're looking out for themselves the whole time, whether they're here or in Africa or in Saudi Arabia or in China. Wherever their investments are, of course, there's going to be a motivation to make things work out. And I mean, and it's happened in the past with banana republics. Literally a guy wanted to grow bananas, and he was like, "Hey, military leader, you want to help me grow bananas tax-free? I'll make you president."
Yeah, no, that is actually what happened. And Michael Vega says that in mid sounds chopped up. Yeah, that's because he's sitting in the middle of an intersection right now with cars going by. So not much we can do about it, I guess.
Am I coming through, or is there just a lot of background noise?
I think there's just a lot of background noise. At least that's what I'm hearing. I don't know how it's coming. It sounded good when I listened to the stream, so.
Okay. I'll try and keep my mic rather sheltered.
I don't know what's got mine out of whack. I don't know if maybe I was just too high on volume. I did a reset on OBS because I was trying to solve some other issues. So got everything reset up, but there may be some fine tuning that has to happen along the way. So midget,
yeah, go ahead.
In a way, could we infer that what you kind of could we call it the Illuminati in a way? I mean, we don't have to use that specific term, but would you think that there's a coalition? Is there a coalition though?
Use the name.
No, I just think that there's a particularly small number of extremely wealthy people, and how powerful they are is, not even to our knowledge. In a lot of ways, we don't know what a lot of these people have all of their money in, and how they're spread out. They don't.
Wouldn't that
have
mean
any
that
obligation to share that information either?
Wouldn't that mean that they would definitely be networking amongst themselves though?
Naturally.
Right.
And so
So we could kind of call it an Illuminati, as it were, the 0.001% of the global
but they're not
dynamic.
necessarily working. They're not necessarily working, in tandem or toward the same thing. They're obviously
Sure, they all
competing
want
with
to
one
take over the
another.
world individually, but they'll
Right.
work. The enemy of my
Well, they
enemy
would
is
if
my
they
brother.
could, because that's the point of the game, though,
Right.
is to win.
Right.
And these people are winning.
Okay.
And
So then let me ask you this question. And this is one that I always think about whenever I deal with anybody who has this, because and don't get me wrong, I share this, but what difference do you make in any of it? Why do you feel the need that you need to hide yourself from that or concern yourself with it? What's so important about you? If that makes sense. Why?
it's kind of the reason I am where I am, though, is that I'm willing to stick to the principle and try and be as consistent as I can,
But
and to really, when it comes down to like giving up your privacy, it's kind of where you draw the line in the sand, and mine is I try and keep it, away from me. Further than most people are willing to draw that line in the sand, but we've unfortunately, there's, the PRISM project and, the ongoing surveillance of pretty much every mode of communication that Americans and people all over the world use. Like, it's sad where we're at. It's really sad, and that's not okay with me, and so I don't want to participate because that's how I feel. And in life, I'm like that way too. I mean, it's the reason I am where I am, is because I can be counted on to, do what the right thing. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to do the right thing. It's in fact, it's quite difficult, and so that's why a lot of people fail, is because they do what's easy.
Do you fight
and
back?
It has its consequences. Do I fight back? I mean, I don't give any of these people my money. I haven't seen but one of the Star Wars films, and incidentally, it was the only good one.
Well, you watched it at our
I
place
guess.
too, and we already owned it. Oh no, I think we saw it on Netflix or something. So I mean, it was already paid for.
Well, you ain't
Yeah.
seen me spending my money at the theater for no Captain Marvel or Star Wars or any of this, any of the reboots, that you
Oh God,
see
I
year
fucking
after
hate
year.
reboots.
Don't support it. But
No,
what change do I make? That's the change I make, and I try and tell you guys all the time: quit spending your money on this shit.
you do. I mean,
Quit giving them your money.
I haven't seen any of the Marvel movies in probably a good 5 or 6 years, maybe more. I think the last one I
Good
saw
for
was
you, man.
like
With
Thor.
Deadpool together.
Oh, Deadpool. Yeah,
Okay.
Deadpool. I guess that
Or you
counts. Yeah.
saw Thor like a couple months later.
No, way before that. It was like the original
Oh, I see.
Thor. And then
True.
Deadpool,
Chris Hemsworth.
but that was worth it. That's something that I want to support. Because I want that kind of thing to be made.
Right. And so there are projects that I would support, but again, that's why I am where I am, because I can be counted on to do what I think is, whether it sucks for me, and I have to bite a bullet in some cases, but if it's the right thing to do, I'm gonna do it. And I feel like not giving these people my money is the right thing to do. Like, minimizing
So
my exposure to them is the right thing to do. And, just trying to not let it does take a lot of my energy, though, and some of my focus. Don't get me wrong. Like, it might be easier to go through life just, wow, just like an NPC, but that ain't me, man.
no, you're a
I'm
total player
alive.
character. That's
I'm
right.
alive.
So that's actually a good transition, though, because you follow pretty heavily all these gates and wars, all these comic gates and Gamergate 2.0, as it's being dubbed. And
Oh my
the
god, yeah,
Weeb
because
Wars.
Gamergate just can't die.
It cannot die. Yeah, we can't let it die.
Yeah.
There must be a boogeyman under the bed. There must be one.
That's right.
So, do you want to
I'm
give us
sure.
kind of a quick rundown for some people who might not know what these things are, and then kind of go into them a little bit?
Okay, a quick rundown would be to give you some channels to follow, and that's
Yes.
Comics Matter with your boy Zach, and Comic Artist Pro Secrets are two of the main ones. If you wanted a more detailed response, they're actually pretty well involved. In fact, there's a lawsuit, and so that's what I'd go over briefly is the lawsuits. There's a lot of original creators that I can't shout out right now for Comicsgate, so let's move on to Weeb Wars, of course, wherein one voice actor is suing a lot of his so-called friends and the company he used to work for, defaming him on Twitter and leading hate mobs against him, and perpetuating unfounded rumors, basically, is what he's suing them for. And they're actually in the discovery phase. The defendants are late for discovery and have been so far unable to produce, answers to the things that plaintiff has demanded. So they've been so far unable to, it seems, muster any evidence at all in their matter, and this might be settled, much like Oberlin, which is more good news.
Yes. Yeah, that was really good news.
Yes, and so, in fact, I don't doubt that they'll probably cite that case at some point in the Vic lawsuit. And so that's Wii Wars or Comicsgate. A lot of channels you're going to want to follow there are Ricada Law, Yellow Flash, and That Umbrella Guy. I mean, I love That Umbrella Guy. So they actually just did a cool convention with the voice actor and a bunch of, the whole gang of Vic stands. And then I'm sure there was a third aspect to this that's ongoing. Oh yeah, of course, the lawsuit of Richard C. Meyer v. Mark Wade. So just because we did it once and it's in the lost archives that will never be, I'll go over it briefly again.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so Richard C. Meyer tried to he crowdfunded a comic book, and when he closed the campaign successfully, he went to a small independent publisher. Happens to be owned by an Asian doctor and co-owned with his brother. Needless to say, Asian. And they do this not even really for profit, just for fun. Okay, so they're a family publisher, and they're gonna make money on this deal, and it's gonna be great for everybody. He's gonna get this highly successful, at the time, like $120,000 raised, for the book, because he had established a YouTube following, and then sold his book. So he went to this publisher. However, Mark Wade, a prominent comic book professional, well known in the industry, been a premium character author, Superman, Batman, all the guys at Marvel, anyone you could think of that was cool. That was Mark Wade writing it. So he's got clout. He calls up Antarctic Press and says, gee, that's a nice publisher you got there. Would be a shame if someone led an SJW hate mob, against you right now. Do you know that you're working with an avowed white supremacist, and he hates women?
Say it ain't
and
so.
I ain't even gonna get into all that. I mean, the whole history of what made him, quote, notorious to these people is asinine. So anyway, they interfered with this contract. This guy, this Asian, this minority guy, business owner, who does it for a hobby, was literally bullied into tears. And he was nearly convinced that he should commit suicide. Not like actively convinced, but he had, thought to himself that suicide was the answer. He was so run down by these people. And so he backed out of the contract. He called Zach in tears, allegedly.
Right.
Now, that story, by the way, has never changed. So he called Zach in tears and says, I've never seen this sort of thing before. I can't publish your book. I'm sorry. Okay, so, oh my God, if it's not clear-cut enough, Mark Wade, it's in Discovery already. It's been through Discovery. There's text messages between him and the publisher, like, saying, fix this right now, make a statement that says I didn't bully you, Oh my God, it's in evidence. It's public record. It's what else? Jesus. And he goes and he does interviews wherein he admits that he made a phone call, which, by the way, in the jurisdiction is enough to prove tortious interference. Just that you made the phone call, one which you had no business to make, is unlawful. So whether the contract soils or not, if you had any reason to call that publisher and talk about that contract, and it's not legitimate, you're guilty. So it's well, I mean, allegedly.
Right.
If you please, this is not a court of law.
No, it is not.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, there is good news. Like I said, the voice actor is winning his lawsuit in anime, and they're trying to come for anime. These SJWs, they're trying to come for it. They can't. They hate shows like popular shows, Shield Hero. They hate fucking Titan. They hate Ruby. They hate. Oh man.
And it's really unfortunate
because you know what?
It's really unfortunate too, because I would be the last person to want to defend anime, but Jesus Christ, stay out of it. That's it. Just
right, stay out of it though.
Let the weebs have their thing. I mean, Jesus.
But here's the thing: let's apply that to anything else. Let the gamers have their thing. Let the boys have their thing. Let
make your own
fans
shitty
have
games.
their thing.
Make your own.
Let
shitty
Star Wars fans have their game or have their shit. No, there's no respect for it. You gotta march in there, tell everybody they're wrong, and change it to your liking.
And then
that's
the entire industry.
That's the American way.
The whole industry.
Did Disney save the Star Wars franchise? No, I think it's pretty clear that they, they took something that was sustaining itself. Mind you,
even with how shitty the prequels were, people still liked them, and people still watched them.
They still like them, and now comparatively, they're gold.
Right.
My God, you have a look at Jar Jar, and it's like sweet relief.
Right. At least he's not a porg.
Right.
I mean, Jesus.
Or a big fat space walrus. God damn it, Rian Johnson. So I'm happy to hear that he, more than likely, 99% is not going to get his stupid ass trilogy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that man in charge of a whole new trilogy of Star Wars movies?
No.
Or JJ. Oh, that's another fantastic development.
Yeah,
JJ Abrams his son is being handed a Spider-Man book as the industry collapses in flames. What's his name? I forget. Little Slug. Anyway, Daddy, I want a Spider-Man. Yep. Okay, son.
Okay, here's the whole franchise.
Right, here's the whole comic book. You get 12 issues. I'll
Jesus.
totally help you write it too. So it's co-written.
I wonder how many
You
lens
know.
flares are going to be in the new Spider-Man comic books then.
Oh, believe it, dude. And oh, don't forget though your water effects. You
Oh
need
yes,
those water
yeah,
effects.
of course. And hey, we got J. Edgar in the chat too, calling us homos. Or calling someone
What?
homos. I don't know. But he said homos, so
I'm sure he's referring to you.
Midget
I'm sure.
resembles that remark.
He does.
So
yeah, what else? What else we got on the plate?
So, Midget, does any of this get
You can
you?
tell this gets me excited.
Does any of this get you motivated to be more involved with your local and federal politics that are, and more local and state, because those are the ones that impact judges around you, judges that make decisions on things like this,
And
whether
you
it's
know
in
what
your
else?
state or
They're
not.
also, and you know what else? They're also the means that fit most my principle. Local governance. Absolutely. I try and vote in my local primary. Primaries. That's what it's about, is weeding these dicks out of office. All it takes is for someone to challenge them, and it's hard though. Like in Broward County, Florida, you can't just beat the street and get votes. They're gonna, if you're Debbie Wasserman Schultz, you're gonna take those votes and either destroy them or turn them into DWS at the ballot counter.
Yeah.
Machine. So because you got Diebold in your back pocket, you're on the intelligence committee. Shit. And you got your district all good and gerrymandered up. You got plenty of pocketed votes. Everybody's voting for Debbie. No, dude, I love that guy. Please, why can't I remember his name? He challenged her twice. Once as a Democrat in the primary and once as an independent. Really good guy. Doctor, straight up dude. And he just couldn't. He got close, but there were rumors, of course. Hers is the epicenter of vote rigging in Florida. It really is, and it has been for decades. It's notorious. Broward County is where ballots go to die. It's been a problem. I keep saying every time I bring it up, but I mean that's the epicenter. And everybody in the game knows it. They just, of course, they don't mention it because it works for them. God damn, did you see Google trying to make sure that something like Trump never happens again?
Yeah, I saw the Project Veritas video.
Dude, you can't tell me they're not working in their own interest.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean that pretty much proves it. I mean, Project Veritas isn't perfect, when it comes to that kind of stuff, but for the most part,
bad reputation, my irreputable source.
No, but I mean, for the most part, they are pretty good.
Doctored video. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let's watch 10 minutes of uncut conversation with someone who I shared the archive right on the Discord.
Yeah,
Check it out.
I saw it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Her twatter.
Yes, her twatter.
And she was flying the globe doing this stuff. She was doing this AI censorship for good.
Yep.
Shit, all over the globe on her twatter.
Isn't the
it's so fucked. Oh,
isn't the inherent point to AI that it can't be censored? I mean, it's going to find a way, right? I mean, it's just going to find a way if it's true AI.
I miss you, Tay. Oh, Tay is bae.
But yeah, with this AI thing, I mean, someone's always going to find a way to protest shit. So they're just going to continuously censor more and more and more, or just start censoring people altogether.
Again, we get back to principle. We get back to principle, wherein you've got to draw that line. You can't give up these little protections. I want to be the change I see in the world. Like, I want to be like, look, you can do it. You can be as distant as possible. I want everything more decentralized. I don't want any of this technocracy, social credit, bullshit. scary. It's not the future I want to live in. And I was lolling at like Cyberpunk 2020 rules from 1990 what 3, the rules book that basically predicted our current.
Oh, really? How accurate is it?
Oh, dude, I'll post it.
Yeah, for sure. But
Well,
it's
crazy.
it's fairly accurate. It basically says, America will shred itself with various identities.
Well, what if I were to hypothesize that that the two younger generations grew up so protected by their parents, those helicopter parents, those bulldozer parents, moving everything out of the way, and now that those parents aren't there, they need someone else to protect them and keep them in bubble wrap. And the easiest thing to do is to seek government to put the laws into place to bubble wrap them as they go through life, since mommy and daddy can't do it.
And that's how you get
They
Marxism.
can't do it for them damn selves. They can't do it for them damn selves, the sheepish weaklings.
You have at least 1.5 generations that didn't learn how to take care of themselves. How to have a fucking thick skin in life.
I'd like to share a new statistic with you. You might be able to find this headline, but wherein like 82%, I think this was a study in Germany, 82% of leftist demonstrators in the streets were
still live with their parents.
Young men living at their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of them, like 2/3, 1/3 of them, had no job.
Yeah.
So you can see it happening that young men across the globe, not even just in our country, but are failing. And there's nothing being done about it. If you try and advocate for men's rights, of course,
no, that's
you're all the
speech.
ists and phobes you're all the ists and phobes and hate speech. Yes, thank you. How is that not inherently like far left? How is that not inherently a political stance to take?
Right.
When the Scottish teacher kicks somebody out of the classroom and says it's the state's policy that his opinion is not inclusive and that he must therefore be excluded, of course, from the class.
What's funny is they're also going after.
How is anyone okay with this?
Because it's not
after the knitting and crocheting site. Did you see that?
Yes.
Where they said in order to have an all-inclusive.
First, they came for knitting, and I said nothing because I was not a knitter. I did not knit.
It did not knit.
Then,
but yeah,
they came for the games journalism websites, and I said nothing, for I was not a gamer.
I was not a game journalist website.
A games urinalist.
Urinalist. That's such a petty insult.
Oh, it's great though. It's befitting of them. I mean,
they don't like it either.
These are evil. These are evil, petty, remorseless characters. They should be treated with the utmost scorn
and disdain.
Honestly, disdain, like heartfelt.
So you're talking
disdain.
about. See, you sound like you're just talking about critics. I mean,
no.
Once upon a time, if you got up and you did a play and somebody came out and was like, in the paper, oh, this was horrible, I can't believe, and they, this, okay,
and now,
burn them at the stake, they said this horrible thing about me.
Let me get you with this, Robert.
Hang on, after they say that, then they go to your house and they kick in your door and they punch your son in the face and then don't let him go to school the next day without, a bunch of shit happening to him. They don't let you leave the house without fear, of being attacked in the street. That's way different than just a critic.
Okay.
It's way different than just a critic.
And I'll tell you what else, Robert.
And this feeds into my racism argument, John.
Well,
that same response.
I tell you what else, Robert. And I think this is better than that. It's seriously, though, again, it's principled. You say that, but damn it, art has always been political. comics have always been political, you know,
Well, that's
movies,
true. They have.
etc. But that's a dumb take. That's a
Yeah.
stupid take because like the politics were never, you know, forced a certain direction. They were supposed to be ambiguous. Of course, they were stereotyped, you know, and other such things depicted, but in realistic
They've kind of been like
settings.
that since the beginning. Comic books that knocked the war during World War II, you know, they didn't really exist because that would not have been a good thing to do in America. So all the comic books were focused on the war and the positive effort America was making in the World War.
That's the Comics
They,
Code Authority. That was an unaccountable board, you know, mandating that sort of thing, and that was overseen by the U.S. government, of course, as the, you know, effort to combat communist subversion, among other things.
Yeah, how'd that work out? Not too good.
Yeah, look at comics now. Yeah, they're all
Right.
fucking Marxists. Marxists. Excuse me.
Marxists. Oh man,
Yeah,
feeling that
I
whiskey.
spit on the word. I spit on the word.
I mean,
It's so vile I can't even say it properly.
I will still
right.
always argue the point because I grew up throughout the 80s and watched the rise of the litigious society that is America. If it's
Indeed.
libel, if it's what's the other one? The other one, not libel, slander. If it's
But
libel or
to
slander,
damages.
hold on. If it's libel or slander, you can take it to court, and if the proper proofs are there on one side or the other, then it will be decided upon. We have that system in place. So, and yes, I understand that it has to evolve with the times when it comes to technology and how things are happening.
Well,
you know, like defamation of character, defamation of character through social media.
Law will take care of the modernization, and it's happening. Case law is happening now.
Yeah,
but
you know,
when
emails in the discovery and, you know, other communications methods and everything is it's going to be decided like the way you do damage, you know, to a person's image through libel or slander is going to be defined in the upcoming court cases, like because the methods are just so different from existing case law.
And the only way to combat it is to use politics. It
is a political process. You're absolutely right.
Right,
but,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think we should politicize the art in response. I think politics is the problem. Politics in the art.
But art is specifically, as you said, it has always spoken out against and for politics, issues. You know, a variety of writers. I mean, look at writers. I mean,
but that's always up for interpretation. Like it might be the artist's intention, you know, to do a certain thing, but also they were, I would say, you know, I have no problem with original work, but when you try and take something that's culturally significant, already existing, beloved to many, you know, and then rebrand it as they have with these Marvel identities and a lot of these Star Wars identities, these IPs, you know, that they can't seem. If they would just write their own damn stories and let it pass or fail on its merits, I'd be okay. But that's not what they're okay with.
But
you saw from Google that they're going to force fairness, you know, quote unquote.
Well, yeah, okay. So
these people are dangerous, dude. The utmost.
Two counterpoints there. You know, to that. One, when it comes to the companies, though, they're part of the free market. They're allowed to do what they want with their product.
Right.
And
of course they are part of the free market.
And
they don't
and their goal,
politicians or use government subsidies or use government host government services and utilities like.
So then so then you're going to sit there and say that everybody that takes a fucking federal loan to go to college, a Pell Grant, that they're all beholden to the government. And that's not true.
No, that's not
We
what they're not
can't.
beholden to the government. No, but they have to
So
abide by free speech, the Constitution, basically.
you cannot have the government adjudicate one way or the
Should be
other on what a
citizens, yeah.
free enterprise does, because as soon as you do, you ask them to adjudicate from both sides. That's all there
Well,
is
they're
to
trying
it.
to adjudicate from both sides of Section 230, and any legislation that would force them to clarify, would be good.
I mean, when it comes to publishers like comic books, they're publishing a comic book.
They're
It's not
publishers,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
and they're dying
they're
too.
taking
And
they're taking the medium and they're destroying it. They're lighting it on
and
fire,
and
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 they're sobbing in their two bedroom apartments with their 6 roommates and their cats.
right.
They're plundering the industry and using it as a stepping stool to get Netflix deals and Crackle TV
Sure.
deals and
That's because
little
that's.
options for their shitty Eisner quote award winning
But isn't that the point
books
to being a company?
that
Is to
sell
try.
600 copies.
Isn't that the point to being a
600
company?
copies.
But what's the point
To
to being a
try, yeah,
company?
sure, but they've done it so much better in the past, and what they've been trying now for it's going on 4 years has been such a spectacular failure, and they
But
refuse to learn from it.
the Marvel universe is actually
The what
just
universe?
the Marvel universe itself is just
The
making hand over
cinematic
fist money
universe.
as it is.
The cinematic universe.
Sure, but
Now,
that's still
you
Marvel.
wait
It's
The
still the
comic book.
company.
You
It's
you
still the
wait
company.
until they bring Ironheart. You wait
Oh
until they
God,
bring
yeah.
Ironheart or make Captain Marvel the new face of the MCU.
Or is Squirrel Girl still
Yeah,
Marvel?
Squirrel
Yeah,
Girl's
so Squirrel Girl,
in
I can't wait.
production.
I want to go
Like,
see that.
oh,
when it
can't
comes out.
wait for
And
those
and
compelling.
but
No, I'm actually gonna go see it. Like,
but
I would actually unironically go and see that movie, but I'll see it ironically. But I'm
and
actually going to
The
go see it if it
actress is
comes out.
cute. The actress is cute. It really is.
but
Yeah,
see,
But yeah, they're absolutely going to bring all of these
that's going to be
SJW
but you
amazing.
characters
not do you
into the
not do you
Marvel
not see how this is
Cinematic
going to
Universe.
evolve? This is just going to be a cycle of
Oh,
business.
I'm going to watch it burn like a
No,
dumpster
it's
fire.
not going to burn
Absolutely.
like a dumpster
Oh, yeah.
fire, because look, this is a company, and what they do is they go by the rise and the fall. So yes, the vocal minority has been very loud, and yes, they made some dynamic changes in the comic book universe, much of which carried over into the cinematic universe. And yes, we've got Disney involved now, and they've had impacts on things across the board that they've touched, and I get it. However, when the vocal minority that is causing these changes incites enough of the
Yes,
next
please.
vocal minority, that vocal minority is going to be loud enough. Those people like you who argue back against it will be loud enough that they will see the market changes when they occur, and they will adjust for that, and they will get grittier, and they will get darker.
All right, well,
I mean, it's
how about year after year, revenue is down, sales are down.
well, sure, we're going
number
to a
of units
digital
shipped
age.
is down.
We're going to a digital age. Don't be surprised when books are going away in a digital age. When I subscribe to Marvel, I subscribe through a digital medium now. I don't go get comic books anymore. I just pull it up on a subscription service.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it's going to happen. Newspapers are dying. Magazines are dying. Comic books will die as well. That is what's going to happen. Yes, they may kill themselves off quicker by the direction that they go, but these are calculated risks that they know they're
I think
taking.
they absolutely are killing themselves.
Sure,
off
but their
quickly.
hope was for every
rapidly.
But their hope was for every loss of a customer like yourself, they were going to replace you with 1 or 2 SJWs. And if that doesn't pan out, then they will make another adjustment to target the next vocal minority, which is hopefully the actual old school user base. I mean, comic books are nothing like they used to be. You didn't see people dying in comic books. That was a hard shift for me. That's a harder shift for me than a politically correct superhero, to be honest with you. The first time I saw Wolverine kill somebody, I was like, man, you just shattered the Marvel universe for me, because it was always about robots and aliens dying. You know, it was kid friendly. That was that
we're talking
violent
about
change.
the end of the Comics Code Authority era.
I mean, when that change happened, I mean that's
Seriously,
much more dramatic than snowflake
issues. That's the end of the CCA.
Yeah, but it allowed more freedom.
The end of the CCA.
Just,
it allowed the artists more freedom. Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to, watch the direction comic books are going to take, you've got to quit looking at the publication media anymore and start looking at the digital media, because that's the direction it will take.
But even the digital, you've got to agree. You've read this shit. It's bad.
I'm not saying it's not.
Stuff.
It made me. I had a Marvel subscription for a couple of years, and I read all the old school stuff and brought myself up to the current. And yes, I walked away from it because I did not like the direction the content shifted.
And there you go. People are walking away from this industry. It's dying, whether it's digital or print. Comics is being killed by SJWs.
Sure, but
comics is being murdered in front of us.
When they realize
slowly,
this,
it's being asphyxiated.
When they realize this, they're going to make a shift, and something you need to be.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to shut down Marvel Studios. Disney is going to. Their lease is coming up already. They're just going to shut down that print studio, and they're going to move all of the work over to California. They're already licensing characters to IDW Publishing. So I mean, these Marvel is going to disappear. DC is driving off a cliff.
Well, and
DC Vertigo just died mercilessly at the hands of SJWs.
So let me ask you
Vertigo
this:
imprint,
Think about this though. How far back do comic books go? What was the first published?
100 years.
1920 something.
Oh, was it 20s?
I want to say it was the 20s with Superman.
Detective Comics or Action
Detective
Comics? Yeah, Action Comics, Superman.
So we're talking nearly 100-year run for comic books. So, I mean, if it dies, if the industry dies itself, I mean, there's going to be enough independents out there that are going to keep comics alive for the hardcore.
It's not fair that these people should worm their way into a thriving industry and turn it into a, quote, community.
And one that they give no fucks about either. Yeah.
Right, and murder it in front of all of us.
They're not comic book readers.
It's not fair.
But when it's all said and done, you can't blame them for the decisions that the publisher made. The publisher listened.
There's a difference between saying that they can't do it and being mad that they did do it. There's a big difference.
You can blame the SJW middle manager who hired all the other terrible authors and editors. You can blame the first SJW to get in there, get their foot in the door, and let all the other roaches climb in. I mean, absolutely, you can blame the industry itself for kowtowing to these babies rather than saying, get good, scrub. We're not Zoe Quinn. We're not going to give you a premiere, title on our DC Vertigo Prestige line. Zoe Quinn, who has never written a comic book. We're not going to. That was their decision to do this. They allowed an SJW manager to give Zoe Quinn a book, among other things.
Exactly.
That whole line was slaughtered by one person and his bad decisions to let all his grifter friends in the door.
So
and they're killing the damn industry that's thrived for years and would otherwise. Because I mean, we got people selling books. Your boy Zach is selling. He's on his 4th book. His Indiegogos so far have funded the next 4 books in a row. He's already going. All he got to do is draw them out and print them. So, I mean, there's success in the comic book media. People want comics. They want to buy good comics. They want to go to their local store and not be called a sexist and a racist and a homophobe for not liking this trash that's being produced by SJW Marvel and DC. And these people are destroying the market for the indies because they're the majors, and if you don't show up for the majors, you ain't looking for indies, brah.
And not only that,
indies.
But what has he gone through? Your boy Zach, what's he gone through?
Oh, hell and high water.
Just trying to make his own comic books, and just gets completely fucked over. at every
He's a
turn that they
Nazi on
possibly
Twitter. Like, yeah, just every
Yeah.
chance they get. Make your
So-
own comic book, they
can.
said.
Right, and not only do they destroy industries, but then they stomp on any kind of competition that tries to come up.
That's right. Or tell them that they're wrong and this is how you in fact do it. Even if it's goods in good, faith. Saying, even if it's one of their own saying, well, maybe
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think Trump is Hitler. Maybe
Oh,
I don't think Trump is Hitler, quote unquote. One of the, now Comicsgate, comics pros, because he was shunned for that tweet saying he didn't think Trump was literally. I'm not lying about this.
Mhm.
John Malin, I think it was, and now he's making millions of dollars doing his own books. He just made like $200,000 doing his own book.
Hell yeah!
All right, so
and these people are fucking everything up. Star Wars, goddamn, Doctor Who. They're everywhere. 40K. They're trying to get. They tried gaming. God damn, they're everywhere, man. They're everywhere. Get rid of them. Rouse Mittinen. Rouse Mittinen.
But
that sounded like a Nazi saying. I don't know.
Well, how do you propose to do it? I mean, how do you stop it?
Defeat them in the marketplace. Defeat their.
Right.
Don't give them
have
money.
Your superior products and don't give them your money. Yeah.
But now
I'm
just playing devil's advocate here. If they're trying to destroy comic books and they're succeeding, so you stop buying comic books, the money that the comic books aren't getting destroys them.
No,
isn't that
you missed the second half?
That's
of
their fault.
And you missed the second
and
half.
there you
I am
go.
under no obligation to buy their garbage.
Right, I get it.
No obligation.
Robert, you missed the second half of what you said. Is not only do you stop giving them your money, but you also give your money to the superior product, to the competition, the people who are actually making quality products.
Okay,
that is the way to do it.
I get that, but that doesn't stop this from happening to the next comic book.
No, it doesn't stop the madness. All the criticism, in the world is only answered by media hit pieces. Media hit pieces is all they've got. They'll just collude together.
I get it.
And they're, and they'll write their little blog posts on their,
and
dying media.
That's what you need.
And
on their dying media web pages, and they'll still have an effect. God damn it!
And as long as it doesn't
still have a power,
as long as it doesn't break the law, it's just somebody putting their opinion out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and people are listening to it. So how do you stop it?
Which they love to do. What they love to cross that line, and you punish them with litigation. When they do not break a criminal law, but civil law, when they
that's what I'm talking about.
When they are at fault,
and that's what's happening right now.
You ignore them until you can't, and then you sue them.
As long as you can prove damages, right? And
right.
And I get that, but it's not going to that's not going to stop it. I mean, when it's all said and done, because there's a million individual SJWs out
force
there.
them to change their tactics to a tactic that's easier to defeat without breaking the law. Also.
Well, I'll say one thing about Mark Wade, for instance. For Mark Wade, for instance, you're not going to change his behavior, even if you spank him in this lawsuit. He's not going to change who he is or how he operates.
No.
He's always been a dickhead. And that's not going to change. The severest spanking in court, as open as shut as this is not going to make it obvious for him. He's never going to change. How do you change the industry? You just continue boycotting. You make your concerns known to people like Bob Iger, and the owners of Games Workshop, and, the people who make the things that you love. Tell them, don't let these people in the door. They are vampiric. They are grifters. They mean you no good. They mean only to infuse their aimless, self-destructive politics on everything. You're next. Shut the door, board the windows, get the shotgun. This shit's real. Weather the storm. And if you can ignore them, good for you. It'll only be a couple hours on Twitter. But if you bend the knee, God help you. And you know what else? I won't. If you bend the knee, I ain't helping you, bro. You did what you shouldn't have did, and you knew it.
See,
You done fucked up. It's all you now.
the inherent thing that I find this ironic in a way is that yes, you have SJWs out there that are clamoring to have censorship, to have, hate speech. You have all of this going on, and they want to control media and they want to control what's out there. But the only way to stop it, the only way to stop it, is to infringe upon their free speech rights to shut them the fuck up.
No, who said that?
No,
who
I'm
said
just
anything about stopping free speech?
I think the best way to do it is ridicule them, treat them with scorn. At every encounter,
but that
every
won't stop
encounter
it. You
should
and I
be
both,
met with scorn.
That won't.
It's best to let them say what they want to say, so you can show how ridiculous they are.
But the point I'm making is
let them spew their horse shit.
It's never going to shut them up. There's always going to be where one stops talking, two more replace.
It's not about shutting them up. It's about getting other people to stop listening to them.
Right.
Listening to them.
But if you give them a conversation to look at, then they're involved. Right? I mean, everyone has to ignore it. Stop feeding dollars, social dollars into their opinions. And then just focus on, like Midget said, talking to the companies, sending letters to the company, correspondence to the companies, and saying, don't give in to this, and hopefully the user base will be heard. But
you know what sucks, dude? Normies,
I mean, you can't stop them.
Normies are tuned out. Normies are tuned out, and most casual fans are just gonna either, not speak up, or they're gonna walk away quietly. They're just going to take their money and quietly leave. They're not going to write letters. Most folks aren't that involved. Even if they are emotionally invested, it's kind of, but I want to also reward, like the producers of the Sonic movie upcoming for, just saying, look, we're going to push the release date back. We're going to, we're going to listen to the fans. That's all they had to do with Star Wars or Marvel, and that would have course corrected. We wouldn't be where we are with these franchises.
And I had no interest in seeing Sonic before they did that. But as they did that, I was
like, now I do, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's give them the money.
But in reality, we're talking
the
about
right thing.
We're talking about two different entities. I mean, one's Disney. Like, you're not going to get them to course correct on their plan for what Star Wars is going to be. You're not going to get that.
Or the next,
they will always have
6 years of Star Wars, 10 years.
They canceled a lot of shit.
Everything turns into the princess mentality with them. Everything is about that.
They came up with the next 6 movies in a row: Avatar 3, 4, and 5. And
wait, was there a 2?
Yeah, there was.
Oh, I didn't even
doing 3, 4, and 5. Check this out: in alternating years with Star Wars.
What?
Okay, so they're gonna come up with a new trilogy of Star Wars. Get you ready, right? And they're gonna come up with all kinds of great, Disney Plus. Can't you wait for that?
That's right. They're a streaming service, right?
They're about to start one. Yes.
Yeah.
But think about it.
Let's give them our money. Yeah.
But think about it. Disney doesn't have to even consider making a change, unless they take something like, for instance, the Marvel Universe. Right now, they've got their hands on the MCU.
Oh, dude.
They can do one of two things. They can either scrap it, or they can turn it into the princess mentality, like everything else. And they sell that princess mentality because in this country, these newer generations, the 2 younger generations, guess how many fucking princesses there are in these last 2 generations? A lot of princesses.
Thank God when I see Trad Wives. Trad Wives coming up. Thank God for Trad Wives.
So, Roundtable Decision says new Star Wars with Game of Thrones writers. It's going to be horrible. Is that true?
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, boy, that's gonna be fantastic. You saw what happened when they didn't have a novel to go.
But
this means it's not even Ryan Johnson.
But even the SJWs didn't like Game of Thrones, like the end of Game of Thrones. Even they didn't like it.
Who was that guy? He's new, right? Roundtable Discussions.
That's Wyatt. Yeah, that's Wyatt Burton.
He's the one who gives us hope for the next generation.
That's right.
He's got a good head on his shoulders.
That's
shout out to Roundtable Decision.
Right between his shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much right in the middle.
All
That's
right. Well, I
fucking
can't
bad,
see
though.
chat, so
So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's odd to think about Disney teaming up with Game of Thrones writers because there's an edge there that very much a line that you wouldn't expect Disney to cross. So these guys are really going to have to
well,
tone it
also
down for
get
that
this.
Disney mindset, right? I mean, one would think. I mean, you
Well,
can kill somebody, but nothing
yeah,
that
they
alludes
won't.
to sex.
They might not have quite so many swinging soft wieners, but you know, who in Hollywood these days, you never know. You know, movies aimed at kids after all, so you're likely to see at least one floppy wiener. These people are degenerates, and so in the end, I really think that yeah, they're gonna botch it up. And guess what? J.J. Abrams, former co-executive producer at Bad Reboot Productions, is now the executive in charge of all live-action and animated content. You know, she's the development executive for that sort of thing. So she's supplanting crazy Kathleen Kennedy in creating new things. However, J.J. Abrams is going to have a strong direct influence over the future of Disney Lucasfilm development. Like when you see the Mandalorian,
Damn, dude.
and you know, yeah. So
Getting windy over there.
yeah. Sorry about that. So yeah, he's balls deep in Star Wars right now. You know, he's gonna. God damn, these people are so deeply infected. We have to let the corpse die. The shambling corpse of Holly Weird has to like crumble. It
Well,
really does.
well,
Yeah.
could I make the argument that you know if it's gotten to that point, isn't the you know the war really over? So they're just kicking a
The
dead
war for
horse. The
our
longer they
minds.
hang on, they're just kicking a dead horse now. So let them have their thing. Let
Yeah.
them have the territory that they won, and we can look on to other
Well,
pastures, and hopefully they don't make their way
that's
there, which
what's
they're going to
happening
anyway.
with the comic industry
Well, see,
and
that's the
Star
problem. Is I also
Wars,
really like
and
that one
you know.
pasture, the Star Wars pasture. I
But we
really like that
liked
one.
that pasture, right?
Right,
We
I like
really
that one.
liked that pasture, and God
It was
damn
really
it, you
nice.
know what you did to it is you defiled it with your weirdness.
Can I?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
I'm
it's
gonna
got blue hair now.
I'm gonna put it out
right?
there.
It's got blue hair now.
I'm gonna put it out there. I can tell you exactly how we can solve all of this. And it's going to be the reality that sinks in eventually. I'm going to say 2 more generations, and the reality will sink in hard.
Mm-hmm.
Spank your children. Do it the proper
Yep.
way. Discipline them right. And these kind of generational things will not happen. We need to get
Couple of
back
ass
into the
kickings
mind.
away from Utopia.
We need to get back to a mindset. And many of our
Utopia is just one more ass kicking away.
That's
That's all it
right.
is.
I
One
mean,
more spank. One more spank. Yeah, one.
I mean, if we continued with
Fucking Marxist.
if we still had the mentality of I brought you into this world, I can take you out.
Yep.
If that was the mentality at home, discipline would be much better out in the world. People wouldn't be sitting around going, oh, you've got it. No, they would be like, oh, there's rules in place. We follow the rules and we do our thing and we enjoy our lives.
Yeah. What's funny is my dad used to say the same thing, but he went one further. He'd be like, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. And I'll make another one just like you.
Right. Until he got to a certain age, and then it's just like, really, Dad? Come on. I've seen Mom. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
There's not as much noise coming out of there as there used to be. More surprise than anything,
That's
Dad.
funny.
Come on.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. What's
God
funny is
forbid.
he used to tell me and my sister that we had an older brother named Bob, who isn't with us anymore because he wouldn't listen. Shit, it's funny.
That's good. That's good.
It's like, oh yeah, Bob. We don't talk about Bob. Like,
Did he have a
you think
picture?
you're the
Did he
oldest,
have a
huh?
picture?
Yeah, right. It's like you're the oldest now.
Did he have a picture in his wallet
No,
at least
no.
to solidify it? That would have really driven it home.
Stock photos.
Right, he'd be sitting
No,
here.
we were
John
young.
would be here
Looking
today going,
motherfucker.
Right.
I think Bob might have been real. There was a picture. He might have been
Right.
real.
He kept it in his wallet for 15 years. I mean,
I
who has
have
that kind of commitment?
I've given so much money to Ancestry.com and I still haven't found any records of the birth.
Oh man.
No, I
He's
mean,
off the grid.
I'm telling you right now, gentlemen, that's going to be the solution. Once we get past this mamby-pamby bullshit of, not respecting authority.
Well, in the meantime,
The
what do we need?
customer is
Another
not
Vietnam,
always
huh?
right.
Customer's usually not right.
That's what your boy Zach was. He was accused of advocating for gay genocide because he said one particular author needed to be involved in this necessary, global war with high casualties, and this particular author needed to die in counter battery fire, as an artilleryman.
Like
And there should
counter
be
battery. That just means that this, they were firing first, so that's fair.
no, counter battery fire is of course being fired upon by enemy artillery, which is
Right.
the most glorious way to die.
Naturally, yeah, that's true.
That's what he said as a
as the
joke,
most glorious.
and he was of course accused of advocating for, homophobia and bigotry and all
yeah.
the isms.
It must have been because he was gay, not because he was just a shit person.
Right, and he was a shit person too. Oh my god, what a shit author.
Yeah.
And he had Iceman.
Oh no.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
So another beloved character gone,
Yeah.
destroyed, crumpled up, thrown into the corner, like so many used condoms.
So let me ask the two of you a closing question then, with what I said in mind. And Midget, we'll start with you if you would like. Two-part question.
I'll carry on forever.
Are you planning to have kids one day? And if so, how do you raise them to keep this kind of thing from affecting them? And John, the same question will be to you after he's done.
Yes. We do hope to have at least one, and then to keep them from going astray. I don't know. I've never done it before. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's why you gotta have two
kids. So
you gotta practice one first.
That's right. Well, it's a lifelong thing, and of course, you all learn by doing it the hard way. But for damn sure, absolutely, I'm gonna challenge my kid kind of every step of the way. Like if they try and figure something out, I'll be like, "Are you sure that's how it is?" And well, why not? Why not the other way? And well, as it turns out, you're right, or as it turns out, you're wrong. And they'll tell me I'll, of course, be involved in schooling. That's important because what they teach your kid at school is not necessarily useful or even helpful
or correct.
Right. So thank you very much. It's what did you learn in school, and what can we learn together about it here at home? To be more productive with our mind. Encourage them to read and expand their vocabulary, and because of course vocabulary being like fundamental to thought. If you can't express your thoughts, how dare you question authority?
Riff.
So I'm gonna keep them very busy and very active and engaged.
All right, John, same question to you.
No smartphones for my kid.
Yeah.
John, do you plan to have kids, and if so, how do you prevent them from becoming an SJW?
No, I don't plan on having kids, but
really?
because I'm way too selfish. But at least I'm like self-aware enough to know that I am that way. But I do
It wouldn't
agree.
be fair to the kids, huh?
Right, exactly. But I do agree with MijitB's way of raising a kid. Critical thinking, teaching critical thinking skills, and being involved and engaged, so that they're not all have like abandonment issues and things like this, so that they
Oh God, yeah. God
Yeah.
forbid they
So,
have daddy issues in that one way.
Right.
Yeah, I think I have kids in the present day, right? And one of the things that I did learn, and I learned it the hard way, and Midget, you touched on it. You went the direction of the mobile devices, this kind of thing. It's going to be more and more impossible to not have children on these kind of things going into the future. I mean, the transition is well underway. I mean, and by example, sitting in a restaurant, looked around, there were probably a total of 15 teens and younger in the place. So all ages ranging probably from about 5 up to 16, 17. Every single one of them had a device in their hand. The only, except one, and he was in the middle of eating food.
I'm sure he had it, next to him on the table.
So, and I applaud you for thinking about that. But remember, when it comes to education, if you take them the route of public or private education, there's going to be these kind of things involved in delivering their education because schools are going digital. Everything around them is going to be going digital, so it's going to be next to impossible as we start having this next generation after Z.
Yeah, well, I mean that's easy though because as soon as they get home and homework's done, lock it away until they go to school the next day. I mean that's not too difficult.
Yeah, we're done with that. We're not signing in with all of our passwords
and I understand
names and credit cards and shit.
Sure, and I understand that to a certain extent. But there is going to be a certain level of social interaction that they are going to be excluded from at a very early age. It's becoming earlier and earlier as we move forward. The age at which their social environment is on digital media, and you have to think about the psychological impacts of denying that to them when you're trying to raise a well-adjusted child.
Maybe
you know what I mean?
No, I don't think. I think
maybe
that would be
I
better
can find
for them. In the short term,
maybe I can find a way to it would. It's gonna be difficult.
But in the long term, I think it would be better.
I mean, if
maybe I could manage their messenger for them somehow,
I mean, just think about the simple fact that if they have a project at school or a group at school, they're all going to sit down on FaceTime or Skype or whatever and meet. They're not getting together like the good old days, right? They're doing it digitally. So now you've got, okay, I've got to have a computer available for my child, so it can be a laptop out in this front room.
I'm absolutely going to have a computer in the house and probably a couple devices.
And I only say this from the standpoint of I did follow this path. Like I used to limit my children's time on devices, right? So they had an hour block here, they had an hour block here and there, and tried to do this and work it out. But that transition, of course, things have changed, and I'm not having as much an influence on it as I used to. So. But all of their friends, like 100% of their friends.
Not to speak of the specifics, but why that is, I wonder.
Well, the DIVORCE
right,
can
because
impact
of the way
that.
things work.
But when it's all said and done, 100% of their friends, and I would have had to face this. 100% of their friends are on digital. Social media, on groups, this, that, and the other, and they're all talking. Around. So to sit there and try and tell them, oh no, you can't, you won't be a part of that until you see them tomorrow at school. They miss out on so much, and that's
hopefully we can learn together the ills of doing so, especially so flippantly as people do, young people especially. To just put all this out there is in itself foolish, and I think my kid could be made to see, that in fact, yes, there are better uses of my time, than around on social media.
And this is why I say corporal punishment in the house, and Michael Vega, I will raise that fascist hand again. Corporal punishment in the house when the child is young, during those early formative years. To set up boundaries and structure when it comes to discipline and disciplining themselves. They learn to discipline themselves through discipline from others. Yeah. And so therefore, when you start to put these rules and regulations in place, when it comes to digital media, that kind of thing, then they follow it. They're less likely to be the one, huddled up in bed 3 hours late into the night playing games and doing this and doing that and talking on this site and, which you don't want them doing. They will be disciplined in how they approach these things in the years that you're no longer incorporating corporal punishment.
They'll also do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, because they are disciplined enough to do what's not easy.
Sure.
Okay? That's why a lot of these people surrounding me here in Jacksonville are utter failures. They're failures. Easy way, the whole way.
Sure.
The right thing is almost never easy, and someone with self-discipline will do it.
And
So that's why I discipline myself. I maintain a discipline rather than taking these silly joys and these blockbuster duds. I don't take part in all that because out of principle, it's not necessarily easy, but god damn it, it's the right thing to do.
Well,
and I think self-discipline in a child would instill that same sort of mindset that you can do the right thing every time, and you're going to turn out better for it. If you take the easy way, you do yourself a disservice. You never learn anything.
Well, and that's what it comes down to. And I think, this would be an interesting topic to breach on the show, to go deeper into how can we instill that kind of mentality back into a country that has gotten so far away from non-abusive corporal punishment in the home, and quite honestly, even in public, school whippings and stuff like this. Walks a fine line, I understand, but it would be an interesting topic to discuss, to debate. Midget, if you could, if you ever wanted to, go deeper into that, that would be awesome. But as it stands, you just talk so fucking much. We've run well over time tonight.
I sure do.
Yeah. No, actually, it was a lot of very enlightening stuff. Good conversation. I always value your opinion because it is absolutely absurd enough to make me think of everything in between on the spectrum between yours and mine. So I think that is a very important thing in any conversation, is to see the autistic spectrum just as well as the...
Right. You should see it from every angle.
Right.
That's right. Even the autistic voice.
Do you like my flavor of autism here?
Yeah, the wrench is blue for a reason.
Yeah,
that's right.
Here's your wrench, Tommy. Now go sit down.
Yeah, you're playing too. Your controller, your wrench is plugged in too.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. Totally plugged in.
All right. Hey, Midget, I know that it was a scary, scary thing for you to download an app and join us on the show tonight. But I have to tell you, I truly appreciate it because you're a nice voice to have in here. And like I said, your conversation is always welcome. John kind of has a crush on you a little bit, but,
a little bit.
That explains him. But now, where can people find you, Midget? We always let our guests close out.
I can't find him.
You can't find me except maybe IRL in a couple weeks, you guys. Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Coming
Are
down.
we going to have a flashback to his last birthday?
I was going to say, yes, absolutely, 100%. But we should also get him in-house one time. That would be fun.
That would be cool.
Get him on cam in-house.
That would be fun.
No, he won't go on camera.
I could go all uniposer. I could go uniposer.
Oh, could you? That'll work. John,
that would be funny.
Yeah, you'd have to swing that, John.
Sure.
Get a camera set up going over there.
I can skip shaving for a couple days.
But listen, Midget, I would challenge you with this. Before we go, just go into the Discord app and turn off all notifications and hang out there for a little while. Throw in an opinion every once in a while. If you have an opinion, share it, but don't let it. Of course, it doesn't. I would never want it to rule your life, but there are times where it might be fun to have you pulled in on the show. You might want to just pop in, and you are a good drop-in for any occasion, except a family function.
For a fill-in.
Right.
Especially when you're yelling at us in the chat, you just be like, well, get on.
Right.
Okay.
Get your ass on here and say that to my face, motherfucker.
Right.
And just and get
when I'm turned up.
And work on getting yourself an avatar, because the Discord look is not good on you. We need something a little more sexy for you, but that's not hard to do. It's real simple. It's just about uploading a picture with no identifying marks.
Can I animate titties?
Preferably not. I would like
as long as they have a bikini on or something. No nipples. That's still not okay.
Yeah, the little fringy pasties will be fine.
Yeah, that'll work.
If you can catch her mid-swirl, even better.
What's gravity?
Right?
But thanks for stopping by, Midget. John, we are going to be back again this Friday because we've got a nice conversation coming up. Midget, this would be a good time for you, too. I'm hoping you're going to watch the two Democratic debates. Come on, you're going to watch the two
Democratic. We'll shut you up. Don't worry.
You want me to do my homework?
You'll have 2 hours to talk on Friday night if you want to join us. We'll see who else is going to jump in on it, but all we ask is that you make sure and watch both debate nights. There probably won't be a lot to talk about from the first night. Elizabeth Warren, maybe, is about the only topic of conversation there, but the second night is going to have some of the main contenders in it. I'm excited by Andrew Yang being there with Bernie and being there with Uncle Joe, and there's also going to be Tulsi Gabbard is in there. Booty, I think Booty Geek is the first.
Is Mike Gravel on the stage?
Hell no. There's not going to be a Gravalanche. No Gravalanche for us.
No, you're not going to feel it.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. But...
So at least watch them and be prepared to jump in if you decide you want to. We're seeing who we can round up for that night to discuss it. We'll take any takers. All right, we'll take almost any takers that want to join in on the conversation. So Friday night, we're going to have a big conversation about the two debates. And then we'll be back again Monday night for our regular Shooting the Shit episode, talking about the things that make you talk about things. John, is there any place to be found?
Oh, there's like 4 of them at the moment, actually.
We have a tinfoil hat zone.
Nice. There's a new one. So one of them is Twitter, down in the description. We're at the Gen Gap P. Yeah, we're on the Twitters. And we also have a Discord link down there where you can go and hang out with MijitB here. You can hang out with Robert and I. Hang out with Tinchy. You can hang out with Michael Vega. You can hang out with Roundtable Decision, J. Edgar. All those people are in our server.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see. You can also find us at Freedom Scoop, which is a fun little website with some with us, most importantly, and some other people who aren't as important, but we're the most important ones. Right. And then next Tuesday, I will be on Ed's World on J. Edgar's channel.
Fuck yeah.
So definitely go and check that out. I'll make sure to make another announcement on Monday for it. And we could probably throw that link in the description and such for that day. So that'll be fun. Can't wait for that.
You can't wait, or you're going to wait? Because technically you have to,
but I can't.
Well, you can.
No.
Really?
I'm just going to go into like...
Are you going to blow up?
I'm going to go into a coma until Monday night when we record.
Oh, and Midget, one more piece of advice about Discord. Set yourself to a way, and then you can lurk completely. Nobody will ever know when you're on. And you can type, and you can still type.
That's my preferred status.
Yes, and you can type at any time and say what you want, but they'll never know when you're online.
They won't know.
Lurker status.
You're just like you. You're just like Super Ghost then.
Yeah.
But don't tell anybody I told you that.
Right. It's a total secret.
Keep that between us. John, thanks for finally convincing this ass to be on show with us.
It wasn't easy.
Oh, my God. It's like pulling teeth. I mean, my God. God. Hey, John, we'll see you on Friday.
Yes,
Friday, post-debate show coming up. I am so excited by these debates.
Got homework.
I'm itching.
Watch them debates, boys.
All right, folks, have yourselves a good night. If you haven't already, hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, call somebody and tell them to please hit the like button and the subscribe button because that makes it fun for everybody involved. Anyway, have yourselves a good night, and we will see you soon. Peace out, everybody.
See you guys.
Good night.